subject, which I think most of us watching or listening to this can relate to: adversity, challenge, and hardship in life. And for you to be smiling despite having gone through so much, I think it's testimony to your attitude. There's something that you're doing. It's either that or it's something in your water, but one way or the other, we want to know more.
It's the brain.
Awesome. All right.
So
Rupi,
I can't close my mouth.
you can't close them. It's the braces. All right, Rups, listen, Rupi, where do we start? I mean, what a journey. Take us back a few years. Tell us a little bit about Rupi's background, because you haven't always, like, you're not native, kind of born in America, kind of, but you have Swedish. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, totally. So actually, I'm from Sweden. My mom is Dominican. My dad is Swedish. I grew up in Sweden. We ended up moving to England to go to school, and then I moved to America in the year 2000. I'm living in Orlando here in Florida for the past 8 years now. I'm a full-time photographer here, and I love living here. But yeah, so I actually moved from New York. So I feel like I'm more of a New Yorker, but yeah, I'm in Florida.
It's a bit of a change of pace, right? From New York
Definitely.
over to Florida.
It is.
You got to take things down a couple of notches over there.
I know, totally. It's a nice change though, because I travel a lot, so having it nice and peaceful and quiet here, it's like wonderful for me.
Okay, so that's good. So, okay, early years in Sweden, then you moved to the States, and somehow or other you kind of got into this line of work, and we're going to delve into some of the hardships that you faced and how you landed back on your feet and, landed on something I don't think you even expected to land into, this kind of field of photography. And now you're kind of doing stuff that you love. So there's a little journey there. So we got to get into that a little bit. But before we do that,
well, it's been a long one.
It's been a long. What's all this stuff about Bhakti yoga? What's this Bhakti yoga stuff? What is Bhakti yoga? I mean, I think most of our viewers, listeners out there will understand yoga. And I guess most people think of yoga as the stuff they see in the gyms and in the studios and kind of folding palms and doing oms. And maybe those who are a little bit more advanced might distinguish between Ashtanga and Vinyasa and Raj yoga and all these. But Bhakti yoga, elaborate for us.
Yeah, so Bhakti Yoga is a path of love and devotion. It's really what attracted me. It's really about worshiping divinity through a very personal relationship. And it's about developing that personal relationship through going inwards and through service to others. And that's what really appealed to me, because I remember being a small child. I was always very, very spiritual. I remember being like 6 years old and going on my bathroom every night. I would go on my bathroom floor, I would close the door and I would cry. Wow. And I would say, God, reveal yourself to me. Like, this was me as a little kid. I was like a total little yogi. My parents thought I was the weirdest thing ever. I was born vegetarian. So when I came to this, I just I really connected with that, because I'm a person and we love relationships with that. It's that personal care and connection. Totally. So and I feel like we can have that with divinity, and I've tested this so many times in my life, and I just feel like, wow, when we really have that faith and that God is a person, it's like he reciprocates so nicely, and so that's the path of Bhakti Yoga.
And let me ask you, can you be any religion, or maybe not necessarily even follow any religion, just like spiritual, and still embrace Bhakti Yoga?
Absolutely. Whatever names we have for God, there's so many names. That's the beauty of God. He's not like us, where we're so confined to one appearance, one look, one name. God has many names. He's everything. He's everything. So what can he not be? So yeah, I feel like it could be applied to any religion. It's just the path of developing a personal relationship with our Creator.
And although you've been interested in it from a young age, it's something that's developed with time, right? It's a process that you followed. I know you've taken it seriously, because if I'm not mistaken, you've actually accepted a mentor, a spiritual mentor, a guru, as one would call, and that you have a guru, a spiritual equivalent of Mr. Miyagi throughout your whole life, guiding you. Is that right? And
I do.
And has your guru played a part in your overcoming, in your evolution, and helping you? where you are now?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think guru is a spiritual teacher who you have to have a very high level of faith in, and for him, he's been there through all of my craziness. I mean, from quitting my job and making really good money, and just quitting my job to be a total floater, just traveling for a year on my own, not having a career. He was the one who told me, become a photographer. I mean, that was such a random thing, and then weeks later, I bought a camera. Having that faith and that guidance, he's helped
Amazing.
me through everything. Even everything that I've gone through has always been there for me and very encouraging. So he is why I'm where I am now. I truly believe that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. What do you regard as your mission in life now? What gets Rupini out of bed? What gets her doing what she does? What do you regard as your life's work, your life's purpose here and now?
I think my mission is to become the best person that I can be. I believe that in order for me to have a really big external mission, I feel like I need to become what I want to see in others. And so for me, my mission has always been my self improvement. How can I be a better person? How can I be more compassionate? How can I live by example? How can I get up out of bed and practice what I preach? And I
Right.
feel like that has always worked for me so well, because when there's sincerity there and you're really just trying to work on yourself and not so much worrying about what other people are doing and how they're
Mhm.
doing it, all this, I feel like that's when God gives you a grace and ability to empower others. And so I feel like right now that's kind of like what's happening with me. I feel like I'm just living my truth, and by living my truth somehow or other, I'm inspiring other people. And that was just a cherry on the cake. So I think eventually, who knows what could happen, but keep doing what I'm doing now and just get better as a person. That's really my mission. I mean, I came alone and I'm going to leave alone. So I'm focusing on this space right now.
Right. I like that, and I want to get you to open up and share some of that wisdom for the benefit of everybody who's tuned in here. So let's start by talking about overcoming. What do we mean? What is your definition of overcoming, and hardships and the things that come with that? Give us a little bit of a frame of reference in your view.
I think that overcoming is just living life with its ups and downs with full faith that everything is happening for you. I feel like, we're all going to have traumas. We're all going to have people dying in our families. We're all going to have different things, and we're all going to have joys. And I feel like going through that with a strength, a spiritual vision on why things are happening, and also a belief that things are happening for a reason. I think that we can overcome anything. Overcome just basically means passing through it without becoming super damaged. We have to really hone in on our inner strength and our connection to divinity. And when we're going through those things, we all will have faith and say, okay, what is happening? Why is it happening? And it's going to pass, because I have full faith that whatever's happening right now is for my betterment. What can I learn from this? I believe that that's overcoming. That's how you see everyone that's in a spiritual path, even the most famous, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. I mean, they all went through hell. Why do people
Right.
go through hell? And I feel like they have been carved to become who they are. They've been carved out all the layers of greed, fault, taking things for granted. All of these little subtle energies that we have. I think that pain and suffering really just peels it off, because we become like naked. As one of the things that I love to say is like embrace the helplessness. Embrace the helplessness, because
Embrace.
during that time, I feel like these moments of helplessness, they're so full, they're rich with potential.
Can you give me
Because
an
when we're
example of that?
embracing,
I really like that phrase, embrace the helplessness. But let me tell you my problem with that. Maybe some of you can relate out there. My problem with that is that, a lot of people, they don't want to embrace the helplessness. They don't like the feeling of helplessness. The feeling of helplessness is obviously a uncomfortable feeling for most people. And the human tendency is to undo the helplessness, to quash the helplessness, to dissolve it, to somehow become empowered, right? It's the opposite of helplessness. And yet here you are presenting quite an unorthodox view, and I'm compelled. Give me an example how one might embrace helplessness in the scenario?
Well, I mean, okay, I'll give you one example. My husband, as you know, he passed away from cancer. This is a situation I cannot change it. And when I mean embrace the helplessness, I don't mean to just say, oh, just do whatever you want to me. It's more of a feeling of surrendering to God's plan. Because if we're, I truly believe that God has a plan for all of us. And why do things happen to us? So embracing the helplessness is not about just falling and crashing and burning from it, but it's to really become surrendered to the process of life. I mean, most of these things are going to happen to everyone. Like death, for example, if we think about it, it's just as natural as birth. So we can either say, oh, I hate why this is happening to me. I hate, I lose faith, or this is not fair. You have to empower yourself. And you have to say, you know what, I'm a spiritual being. I'm eternal. I'm on this journey. And I have full faith that God is doing everything exactly how he wants it. And that gives us a level of empowerment and surrender, because now we're not responsible for everything. We give all the responsibility to God, and we trust in him. And we say, you know what, this is my journey and I embrace it. Give me the lessons that I need to learn from it. Because if I'm going through a lot of painful things and I'm not learning anything for it, then I have just completely wasted that experience. And who knows, it's an invaluable experience, because I think trauma gives you the most lessons out of all the things that can happen to you. You can become so strong from it. And that's where I feel like I didn't know how strong I was until all of the crap I've gone through happened to me. And then I'm like, wow, you know what? God, I surrender to your plan, just as long as you don't let me lose faith in you. That was my thing. So helplessness is not about, oh my God, I can't do anything. It's about taking back your power and knowing that everything is happening for a reason. This is God's plan. And I think and that's just a level of surrender. Because what can we do? We can't change it anyway, right? There's a lot of situations. If you can't change it, by all means change it. But there's a lot of things in life that we just cannot change at that very moment.
Okay, I agree. So, and let me replay that. I guess what you're saying is you can actually empower yourself by trusting in a higher plan. So you're not seeing, what you're saying is you're inviting here us to reframe our conception of helplessness, seeing it as something that is an opportunity for us to learn to trust in a higher plan, to surrender to a higher cause. That's what we're saying, right?
Absolutely.
So help us out here. How can somebody do that if maybe they don't believe in God, maybe they hate God, or maybe they just don't know how to surrender or who to surrender to?
I think that one way is to, I feel like you're a product of your environment. So if you're feeling broken and hopeless, and you're not believing in the process of life, I feel like the best way to do that is to be around people that inspire you. Because listen, if we're a part of God, if God created us, even every religion says the same thing, we're created in God's image. And we have some immense power in each and every one of us. And the way to tap into that is that we need to shut off the externals for a minute, and we need to go deep inside, because there's a whole universe inside of us. That's why meditation is so important. Silence, stillness. And I think that if we can develop our intuition, then we can navigate through our difficulties much, much more easier than just go with the punches, And I think even if you don't believe in the higher power, I think there's something inside of you can empower yourself. And sometimes it takes to change and shift our environment so that we have that facility to do that, to be able to get inspired by other people. I mean, that's really, when I went through a lot of stuff, I mean, it's really hard to be very positive when you're in the midst of going through something. But the thing that helped me the most was just surrounding myself with people that had the knowledge, they gave me affirmation, that made me feel like there's hope when I didn't feel it myself. And I think that that's so important to have like a community of like-minded people that maybe think a little bit beyond just this temporary body and what's going on, that we're on a planet in the middle of the universe. I mean, that's really far out there. So these ideas are not very far out there if you think about it, right? So being around a good environment, I think that is something that can help you a lot emotionally and mentally if you're going through trauma, even if you're not specifically have a set belief in something.
I like that. I guess what you're saying is that is empowering. That is you're empowering yourself just when you think you're helpless. We need to remind ourselves that we have the capability to change the company or the environment that we keep. That environment may be the living environment, it may be the environment that we keep or the company that we keep, or it may be just the environment in terms of the music that we listen to, the TV programs that we watch. It's all part of our external environment. And I guess what you're saying by extension, when you say people, I'm kind of reading between the lines, but I'm guessing what you're saying is you've got to upgrade your environment. You can't keep listening
listen,
to.
We are what we eat.
Sorry?
We are what we eat.
We are what we eat.
We see.
Totally. Right. So like, I remember when I remember when I went through my kind of biggest breakup in my 20s, I just kept listening to Toni Braxton and a whole ton of sad love songs. And so I was filling myself and I was feeding my misery. And I guess if I look back, had I changed the record, literally, because there were records back in those days, had I changed the record, then I may have lifted my mood. So if that can be so true for something as simple as that and with food, then what if you were to upgrade the company? If you started to hang around people who were more positive, whether that be people that you already know, or maybe you need to be a little bit bolder. And I know you're going to go there in a second, so I'll let you take the audience there. Maybe you need to upgrade the company and go to places where people who are of a uplifting or spiritual or philosophical nature hang out, maybe. And I guess that's kind of what you did in your life. You as you embraced this path of bhakti yoga, you started hanging around with more spiritual folk. Is that even a thing? And is that true? And did that help you?
Absolutely. I actually discovered the bhakti yoga process when I was 17 years old. And at that time, I was a little bit of a rebel, you could say. I mean, I was really drugs. I was in a death metal band. I played guitar, and I was completely directionless. Although I always was
like a vegetarian rock, hardcore metal loving.
Really I always say, if I could become a spiritual person, then there's hope for everybody. Because I was literally like brought 40s to high school. I'm not even lying. Like, I was really bad. And I always cut school, but I always knew there was something more, and I was just waiting for that to happen. It's a weird description, but I was just waiting. I'm sure a lot of people have a feeling, okay, something might happen, and that was like me, my whole like high school life until I met the devotees, and they, I was really against it. That's the funny part. I was like, oh, whatever, I don't want to hear about it. Don't preach to me. I would say, whoever it is, I would say the opposite. I'm Christian. I'm Catholic. I'm Jewish.
Yeah, just to get rid of him, right?
Yeah, and but yeah, it just the process given, I think, was life changing for me, and it just automatically purified me to the point where I just kind of got rid of the drinking, got rid of the smoking, and I just wanted to find out, like, who am I? Who am I? And all of the things that happened in my life. I've had a crazy life, and I'm only 32 years old. I'm going to be 33. Everything accumulated into pushing me even further into the bhakti path, because I became so tired of everything, tired of my mind, tired of my suffering, tired of people that weren't serving me. And I just did like a major renovation, kind of engineering kind of thing. And I just gave it my all. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Wow. Okay. So there's proof that you're able to upgrade your environment. There has to be sufficient willpower to do it and a sufficient reason to do it. And I guess what you're saying is that if you want to reduce the amount of suffering that you have, on the one hand, you embrace what you're going through, but if you want to keep that journey from being a long one, then you've got to play a part in that. You've got to upgrade the company that you keep. You've got to make that change, is kind of what you're saying. So I get that. Tell me about, so let's get a little deeper. Tell us about I mean, you lost your husband to cancer, and you know that was hard as it is. I know you've had to go through some other challenging times. Would you care to elaborate on perhaps another time in your life where you've had a very difficult time, and maybe any particular and methodologies or processes you used to overcome that particular hardship, and any epiphanies that you had along the way?
Yeah. So I grew up in Sweden. My mom was single mom to my sister. She was always studying. She was always super busy. My dad was a raging alcoholic. He was extremely abusive to my mom. And so they separated. He actually ended up committing suicide when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
I moved around as a kid, so I never had consistent friends. Like I just, changed environment constantly from a small village in Sweden to the capital to England to America. I mean, I just kind of was all over. So I never had like long-standing deep connections. So I felt very alone and extremely insecure.
Totally get that.
Um,
Yeah, that's so hard. I mean,
yeah,
if you don't have solid attachments and a
yeah,
solid family connection, with ties of
yeah,
friends
I
or
just felt like a total floater. I didn't have a regular life like most people did. And I always
Mhm.
envied that, family and all these things. And when I moved to America, I ended up in the Bronx of all places in New York, which is like really ghetto, right? Let's just be real. It's a ghetto school. I felt unsafe every day of my life being there. And I was just very, very insecure. I was really overweight. I was really bullied. I had pink hair, and people just bullied me to death at school, to the point where I went and knocked on my teacher's lunch cafeteria and I said, I don't have any friends. Can I just sit with you guys? And so I would go every day and I would sit with my teachers and eat because I didn't really have any friends. And I failed school. I failed all of my classes. I went to summer school every year of my high school. All right. And I failed that too. And I remember when I was told I wasn't graduating, I just like cried because I felt so stuck. I'm gonna be in this environment for the rest of my life. Why is this like why am I here?
Right.
And yeah, and I was so lost. So I just went to my school teachers and I had like developed a relationship with them by being in the cafeteria all the time. And I just told them, please, I have terrible eyesight. But first of all, I'm almost legally blind. Okay. It's weird that I'm a photographer, but my eyesight was so bad that I could never see anything in the board. And when the class was finished, I would run to the schoolroom to copy the board because I didn't want anyone to see me do it. And so I pretty much failed all of my classes because I just couldn't see anything. And I was so insecure. Can you imagine? So insecure you can't even tell that you're afraid to admit that you can't see.
You
So
thought
I
it was
told my
your own
teacher that I
problem
can't
or
see.
some kind of sin or crime.
Yeah, I saw something I did. I'm completely defective, I'm just a defective human being. And I begged my
Big
teacher, I said,
burden to
please
carry.
change my grade. Yeah, I just said, please change my grade. I don't want to be here forever. I want to be a business owner. I'm not planning on going to college. Just please do something. And I remember one of my math teachers told me, he was an older gentleman, he said, he looked at me and said, I can get in so much trouble if anyone finds out about this, but I have so much belief in you. You're way ahead of your years. And I'm going to change your grade so that you can graduate and get out of here. And I remember like he saved my life. And so
Wow.
I was able to graduate. Yeah, I didn't go to my graduation. I was too embarrassed. Obviously, I didn't earn it. But and I went straight into real estate, and I killed it in real estate. I started 17 years old. I was working illegally for a Jewish real estate company, showing apartments. I was like such a hustler at a young age. And
Awesome.
and and then I got my real estate license, and I started working for a big real estate investor for 8 years. And I remember so depleted and so tired. I had a beautiful dormant building in Brooklyn, and I just went home one day and I just looked up in the ceiling. I had my shoes on, everything, and I just started bawling. I just started crying, and I said, I hate my life. I don't have time to do anything, and when I do have the time, I'm so exhausted that I can't even do anything. My life was just working. So that at that point, I just had an epiphany, and I just said, I need to change my life right now. And I'm one of those extreme persons that either I go all out or I don't go at all. Like I have to do everything. I have to change everything. That way I can't like gradually do things, it just doesn't work for me. So I just sat there and I said, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go traveling for 1 year. And this was the beginning of having really personal conversations with God, because I told him that day, I said, I'm going to have full faith in you for 1 year. 1 year. I'm going to put
Wow.
all of my faith in you. You do whatever you want from me. Wherever I need to go, whatever I need to do, show me
Wow.
the way. I'm not going to have any plan. I'm going to book random tickets. I ended up in Poland, in England, all over America. And I had no plan, and I didn't know anyone, so I was soloing it for one
You're
year. My
soloing it
whole
for a
family thought I
year.
went crazy. Yeah, yeah. My
Incredible.
family, even my guru was my virgin. Oh my God, you're gonna be by yourself, you know. But I just had to do that. I had to put all of my faith in knowing that I can change everything in my life if I really want to. I know it takes a lot of courage to do it, and I wanted to experience that courage because I felt like I had been stuck for so long. And so when I did that, it was the best experience ever because somehow or other I found a home, I found a program, I got invited places, I got invited to Europe, I got, you know, everything just fell into place through a spiritual path, which is what I wanted, you know. And it was not until the far end of that trip that I met my husband. 1 week before my return ticket to New York, I was going to move back into my mom's house. Can you imagine a daughter, like, you know, really well off, corporate? I used to wear a suit every day to becoming like a hippie. I had like a knot in my hair. Like, yeah, because I was just free, you know. And it was then I met my husband, and we got married 6 months later. And then we went to India together, and my spiritual master, he said, you know, what are you guys going to do? And at that time, like, I wasn't doing anything. So he told me, you know, he said, become a photographer. You know, I want you to become the best photographer. And he told me, and I was so confused. Here I am in India, in the most sacred place, and I'm getting an instruction. I was thinking like, become like, you know, just do the monk thing, or just like become, you know, do this practice. And he's telling me like to become a photographer. So I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so fallen. This is the type of instructions I get. You know, all
But
right,
of
but I
course,
believed in him, and
you believed in him. And well, fast forward.
I believed. Fast forward, I didn't know that I needed to become a photographer because my husband was going to die 4 years later, and I needed to take over that business. Because at that time, I was just thinking, okay, my husband was into photography. I can just manage and help him because I'm really good with business. And so I was just kind of helping him out, doing the emails, all that stuff. We didn't really have much plan. And now when my husband got sick and he was, you know, I was told he's going to die, it just hit me that my spiritual master or my guru really knew, like, if I hadn't listened to that, where would I have been? I probably would have lost the entire business at that point. You know, if
Right.
I don't know photography, how am I going to own a photography business, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just amazing, you know, when you have a lot of
Incredible.
faith. I think faith takes us so far, you know. And I think, you know, when everything happened with my husband, I mean, I had so much epiphany. And then I realized too that all of the trauma that I went through, I don't think any life experience has ever changed me as much as that. And my spiritual master told me later, he said, you have gone through things that people don't learn until they're 70 years old. And you have to see that as a blessing in many ways because, you know, you're a little bit now more stronger, more knowledgeable, and you can really take that and help other people. And it just, you know, it hit me because, yeah, I mean, I went through hell and back. I mean, let me tell you, that was the most difficult thing you ever have to go through. And, you know, you never experience it. And not one time, for some reason, not one time did I ever think, why me? Why me? Instead, I always thought, this is happening. What can I learn about it? What kind of stones in my heart right now need to be pulverized? Because obviously I'm going through hell. Sorry, I don't know if you can say that. I'm going through hell, and and you know, I need to figure out why I'm going through this. It's not because, you know, you're bad and this and that. I need to learn about myself. Maybe I take my husband for granted. Maybe I take life for granted. Maybe I need to become, you know, something. Maybe I need to find inner strength and purpose. And I had all of these things, you know, really resonate and marinate in my heart, and it changed me forever. And I can't. It's like the craziest thing to go through, but at the same time, like the most enriching experience in terms of like a spirituality.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
You changed a why me into a what can I learn from this kind of, that was your switch, you know. You went from a victim mindset to a student mindset, right? You change from the victim to the student, and the student learns, the student recognizes that things happen, and you did, and here you are to stand and tell the tale. I love that. Tell us your top 2 or 3 or 4 strategies or tools then that you would like our listeners, our viewers to take away. What can they start doing? We've talked about faith. Perhaps you can elaborate on that. What can we practically start doing? And what mind shifts or environment shifts can we start doing?
I think the first thing is develop your intuition. We all have that inner voice that speaks to us. And we're so used to kind of mix it with all the other voices going on. And I think that if we can develop our intuition, whether that's through silencing the mind, being in the now, practicing being right here this very moment, having a spiritual practice, prayer, meditation is amazing. We can start developing our intuition where that voice becomes just a little louder. And instead of a voice talking, becomes a very urgent feeling, a sense. And it might not be the most comfortable thing to do at that time, but our intuition will know, okay, this is what I need to do. And I think developing our intuition is so important for any spiritual practice. And I feel like we're so powerful inside that if we have that direct connection, our path would be so much more clearer, and it would also be much more easier because now we believe, and this is the right decision for me. I know it because my intuitive, my soul, everything is screaming for me to do it. And when you have that, you become just a little bit less fearless. I mean, you become more fearless in whatever decisions you make. So I would say definitely try to develop your intuition, your inner voice.
Love that.
That's one thing. Yeah. And also explore, there's lessons in everything. And I feel like we go through things and we can really stop for a second with anything. It could be a fight with a friend. It could be, you didn't get that job, or it could be just take a minute. And instead of stop in the emotions that you're feeling, try and think, what can I learn from this? Do I need to be a little bit smarter? Do I need to not invest my emotions so much into something that I don't know is going to happen or not? Do I need to maybe shift my focus into something? Maybe this happened because my purpose is this way, not this way. We have to try and see and pray also. We can pray, reveal why this is happening to me. And you can reveal that through your intuition or some message or different ways. But I say, what can I learn from this is the best thing, and understand that life is meant for growth. It's meant for us to grow, and so life is meant for growth. So whether they're going great or bad, everything can be. It's very hard. It's a little harder to grow when you're very happy. I can tell you that, and from my own experience, when I'm happy, there's very little growth going on, except for I'm just very happy and pleasant. But when I'm going through a lot of hard things, that's when I start shifting gear and start thinking less about what's externally and more about what internally.
You say that. That's so powerful, because I remember in the Mahabharata, and for those of you who are not familiar with the Mahabharata is one of the oldest recorded histories on the planet, over 5,000 years old manuscript, which charts the activities of great royal dynasties and some of the challenges that they went through. And it's supposed to be a analogy and an anecdotal voice for generations and millennia for us to learn from. And I remember one of the central figures, Kunti, the queen, her 5 sons, people tried to kill them, abandon them, chop their hands off, steal everything that they belonged. They just went through countless suffering. And I remember there's a verse in the Mahabharata where Kunti says, she turns to the central figure, to divinity, and she says, please let more suffering come. Don't stop the suffering, because it's in the suffering that I'm growing. And through the suffering, I'm getting closer to my pure spiritual essence. And it's through the suffering that I'm able to really embrace my true nature. And I want that for all of us. And what a profound thing. Everybody would want to say, hey, I don't want more suffering. But she's like, no, bring it on, because I grow when I suffer. How beautiful is that?
So amazing. I mean, the thing is that we all learn at different levels, right? Some people learn by just watching someone else go through something, and they learn, okay, I'm not supposed to do that. And then there's other people that are a little bit more stubborn, like myself. I feel I have to go through something in order for me to see, oh, okay, this is really now, because I have to experience it. I'm one of those people, and I feel like, everything that I've gone through, I have to say a little prayer of thank you for God, because I wouldn't be who I am today. And I can tell you that I've had a big transformation since I was 20, 21 years old. I'm 2 completely different people. And that's in part because of everything I went through. When I was going through it, of course, you don't see it at that moment at all. You don't see it. That's why you need good association around you, people that lift you up and brings you up.
Lift you up, yeah.
Later on, you will see it. If you keep your faith, you'll be like, oh, okay, I kind of understand, okay, my husband passed away. I'm going to pass away too. I realize that now. I was living like I was going to live forever. No, I need to change today. I don't have a lot of time. I need to do the things I want to do today. I didn't have that mindset before. Later, anytime I can do it later. And I realized so fragile. My husband there, gorgeous, handsome, tall, beautiful, completely crippled, completely sick, out of nowhere. So you start thinking, okay, to think that I'm going to live in this body forever is one of the biggest illusions in this material world, which is the only reason we procrastinate. We don't do the things we want, and we don't change. Because if we really knew that, listen, the time is not ticking. It's our life that's ticking. Time is always going to be there. It's our life that's ticking. If we don't know for real, okay, I need to change now. If we don't have a concept that we are going to die, I think it's one of the biggest illusions in the material world.
Wait a minute. Hey, wait a second. Tell us that story real quick. I'm mindful of time. Didn't you do an awesome video, a vlog, a motivational video where you related the incident of the ancient king Yudhishthira from that book, the Mahabharata, 5,000 years ago, and there was something about his brothers being poisoned, and he gets asked the question, and the epiphany question is that
I mean, it's
nobody dies. What was that thing, real quick? What was that thing? Tell us.
Yeah, it's a long story. I remember the video was like 12 minutes. I think it's the longest one. But he was asked, what is the most amazing thing in this world?
In this world, right? What's the most, and he was like considered one of the most wisest people on the planet, right? King Yudhishthira, over 5,000 years ago.
The king of Dharma. He never spoke a lie ever. And he was asked this challenging question because at that point, his brothers had been poisoned. And this being said, I will revive your brothers if you can answer this question.
If you can answer this question, yeah.
Yeah, what is the most wondrous thing is the word.
Wondrous thing,
and he
okay.
thought about it for a minute and he said, the fact that every day people are dying, every minute, every day, but we never fully realize that it's going to happen to us. And that is the greatest thing. And that is the biggest thing I learned because I was so faced with my immortality. I remember when my husband passed away, I couldn't sleep for weeks because I just kept thinking, oh my God, when am I going to die? When am I going to die? Like, what am I going to do? What have I done? I haven't done anything. I haven't helped anyone. I was so like in my mind. I mean, this is like a spiritual people are like this, right? They start thinking, I call it like spiritual insecurity. We just start thinking about, oh my God, what can I do? And I really had to shift myself. Okay, listen, I'm not a giving person. I don't thank my mom enough. I take things for granted. What I have, it's a gift. My house, my car, everything is a gift. I've been loaned it by the creation. I need to be thankful for everything I have. My little problems that I have in my mind are so minute to everything that's going on in the world. People are literally dying this very moment. And I am complaining about this person at work spoke trash about me, or this person didn't book me because they cheated me, or this and that. These things are so minute. They're not even problems if you look in the pure perspective of our timeline here on Earth and our mission, what we're supposed to do here, which is become better, everything that we're going through so that we can become better. It's like God is the most kindest teacher. He gives us exactly what we need, even if we hate it. Just like a parent might punish us and all of these things, and we don't like it. But God is so kind. He will always be there and will guide us through it. And if we can go through it with faith, I think that we come out way more stronger than we can ever imagine. I remember thinking, I'm so strong. I had no idea. My faith was so high. I thought I have faith, but when you're going through it, you have to like in the stillness, you have to be like, okay, what do I really believe? Because it's easy to like have like a philosophy and out there I believe in this and that, but when things are happening to you and you really have to hone in on what you truly believe in, you start realizing where you lack and where your gains are.
That's really powerful. Thank you. This is profound. So I want to wrap up with a couple of rapid fire questions. This is kind of the fun part that I really like. So we've talked a lot about some powerful stuff. I want to dig underneath the surface and find out your three routines or daily habits that you have to do every single day that make part of your day.
All right, that doesn't include eating, right?
Yeah, right.
Talk about the other things though. I do meditation every day. I do mantra meditation specifically.
Okay.
my beads. And I do this 2 hours every morning. And for me, it's my time to just be with divinity. I try and really shut out all the noise that's going on in the mind. Your mind is like a movie constantly playing. It's creating dialogues, it's creating scenarios. It's a big imagination. I mean, you're thinking about what you can do later, what you can wear, all this, and when all you have is this very moment.
It's a thought machine. The mind just constantly goes.
It is so bad. And the more you start listening to the mind, you're really like, wow, like I'm really crazy actually, because this is like a whole entity, like talking, you know, and you become more aware of it the more you do it. So you can start shutting it off a little bit. And you can only do it, I can only do it a few minutes at a time, you know, but the more I practice, the easier it becomes, and you start really noticing it talking. So that's one thing I do is my meditation. It's also powerful mantra meditation. The other thing that I do is I have my puja, my altar in my home. So I always do that every morning.
Like your personal worship. There's a personal form of devotion and reverence that you practice.
So my
it's your personal
is
space.
Like spiritual sanctuary. I always say it's like my purity. It's my sanctuary where I feel like it's just clean, it's pure, and I'm able to really
love that.
Connections there. So that's another thing I do. And then the third thing that I do is I always keep in touch with my close friends, and all of my friends are like-minded like me, and we share our problems with each other, you know, like
so cool.
it's so important to have that person that you can really share yourself unfiltered with. And it's great help because they give you a perspective that maybe you didn't really see. You know, and I think so having deep spiritual connections with your friends, like right after this, I'm hanging out with my best friends, you know, it's so important. And I think we're so busy, trust me, I'm super busy too, but if I don't have that connection, that human communal connection, I feel a little bit isolated, alienated. And I feel like I lose a little bit of that that positivity and that hope. I need to have that around me at all time. Another thing I love to do too is listen to motivational podcasts or speakers, and I just love listening to spiritual lectures, and I do that pretty much all, you know, when I'm editing and stuff like that.
Awesome. I know that, and I was gonna come to that and share that side of you in a moment. If you were stranded on Necker Island or one of those remote islands of Bora Bora, there was nothing and no one around, what 2 items would you want to have with you and why?
Food and water.
All right, easy answer. I'll take that. Well, wait a minute. What is all around you? So food and what else?
Water, not salt water, pure fresh water.
Pure fresh water. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I would. And you know, I mean, I would say cell phone, but what if I don't have reception? Or I could say cell phone and reception.
Cell phone and reception. All right.
Yeah, I'll take and reception or food and water.
And no camera in sight, but then I guess the cell phones these days have great cameras, so you're kind of going.
Make sure I document my struggles.
Document your thing. If you could be a superhero and you had a superpower, what would that superpower be, and what would you do with it?
I would transport myself to other places, I think. I would love to be able to just go to India without having to take a 20-hour flight to get there. And I would just go to so many holy places and everything, because I believe travel ushers growth like nothing else. And so I would do that. You've
lived that, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last question. What would the Rupee Springer sitting in front of us today on this interview, what advice would she give to her 20-year-old self?
20-year-old self, I would say
the rock, the heavy metal, you know, anti-establishment, rebel, James Dean wannabe chick. What advice would Rupee give her?
I would say, girl, you got this. Just have faith and hone in on your faith, and things will come and you can overcome them. Just don't lose your faith.
Wow. I love that. Girl, you got this, huh? That's such cool advice. People don't realize that.
We never believe in ourselves.
No, right? That's
rare. Everyone does. And I think that if we believe a little bit more that we're definitely a spark of God's creation, then we can maybe see like, okay, you know, if that's the case, then I am amazing. I really am. I just need to become that.
People need that. Yeah, people need to know. So true. And I think this interview right here is a stepping stone in building that confidence and that self-belief in one another. As you said, you've got to embrace your intuition and really develop that intuition so you can ride the waves of suffering, because suffering will come. It does. And it affects all of us. Hardships do come, but we overcome. Suffering comes and we overcome. But overcoming requires us to have these skills of patience, of intuition, of acceptance and surrender. I love these keys. Hopefully that kind of summarizes it for our listeners, viewers. I hope you're catching and making notes. Go on, Rupi.
And one thing I also think is just gratitude. I think that when you express gratitude, everything around you brightens and softens a little bit.
Love that.
Being grateful, for the little things you do have. Think about that. This is a lot of things that you have.
Yeah, right. We do that. We do on our retreats, we do these long gratitude meditations in the morning, and we'll probably share some stuff here for our respective audiences, but absolutely gratitude. So talking to gratitude, how can we express our gratitude? Where can we find out more about you? I don't know, work with you, have some business with you. Where do people go?
So I have a Facebook page. It's Rupini Springer. Instagram, same thing. And then my photography businesses are Lotus Eyes Photography and Denise.
Lotus Eyes Photography. Great name.
Lotus Eyes Photography. Yeah, that was actually given to me by someone. I used to be called Lotus Eyes. I know. So I was like, oh, Lotus Eyes Photography. Okay, easy enough. And Denise Johnson Photography. And you can find me online. Connect with me on my Facebook page, which is great. I would love to hear from you guys and help however I can, really. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message.
Awesome. And I want to just say that, you have your fantastic videos. There's a particularly good one on which I found on determination. I thought that was excellent. And all of that and other videos can be found at the Rupini Springer Facebook page. We have the real Rupini right here. The real Rupini is stood up. And I think Rupini, you are a great example of somebody who triumphs, who has triumphed, and whose success and ability to overcome has not gone to the head, but gone to the heart. And you live with heart. I feel that. I know when we talk, I feel that. You really do live with heart. It comes across in your videos. It comes across in the care that you have with people. And I just hope that, we can stay connected and do more in our respective ways to serve and enlighten people bit by bit by bit.
A little bit, life is beautiful. Life is so beautiful. If we can see it for what it is and the care that we have and the universe, how it takes care of us, life is really, really beautiful. So I don't try to dwell too much on the negative parts, but it happens. But just see the beauty of everything. I mean, it's amazing that we woke up today and we're breathing and we're able to eat and we're able to sleep in our bed. And I mean, we're so blessed. We really are.
Love that. That's the G factor again, the gratitude factor. I love that. Love that. Yeah. Folks, that's us done here. I want to just part by reminding you, if you're enjoying this stuff and you're finding value, enlightenment, and enrichment by listening to each and every one of these powerful interviews with unique guests bringing their craft and wisdom to the door for you, then don't forget to tune in and subscribe and like our podcast. It's Urban Spirituality on iTunes. You'll find it. Just Google Urban Spirituality Prash, Prash, and you will find it on iTunes, on Android and Windows platforms as well, of course. Go ahead, like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, Urban Spirituality. Go and like and subscribe and follow what we're doing and support us in making sure we make a great big dent in the media's campaign to massacre our brain. That's what we got to do here, folks. Kind of going crazy and rhyming here a little bit, but hey, people say, are you brainwashed? I'm like, wait a minute. Everybody's brainwashed, because guess what? We have a guru in our house. It's called the one-eyed guru, the TV. That damn thing is brainwashing most of us all damn day. And now they're on the phone.
I am washing my brain. That's exactly what I'm doing. Thank you for noting, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm
right there.
Of all of the dirty things that are in there and trying to allow something clean. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We got to transmute. Right. Yeah. There you go, girl. See? So folks, please make a deliberate effort, like our iTunes Urban Spirituality podcast. Go find it, Urban Spirituality Prashke. Like it. Check out all the backlog of episodes. There's some awesome stuff there. Share this with your friends and YouTube. Don't forget to like the Mantra Therapy page on Facebook. Show a little love. We're on Insta as well. And let us continue. There'll be loads more to come. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll try and get back to the questions, comments as we can. Loads of love from me, Prashke. Peace out, Rapini. Take a bow, girl. Namaste.
Namaste. Have a good one.
Awesome.